Thank y'all very, very much. It's been a pleasure to actually be here and see y'all's faces. Um, my name's Roger. I am an alcoholic. I'm also an addict. But my actual problem is thinking. I got a thinking problem. Um, but again, just being able to be here this weekend with all of y'all. And I know I haven't been able to speak to the females, but rules are rules. Um, but being able to know the guys a little bit in the room, being able to speak and hear your stories, and the people at Pavillon have welcomed me here with open arms. The staff, it's an honor truly to spend time with each and all of you. Um, Listening to you, listening to your stories, meeting you where you're at, and you guys doing the same for me. It means a lot, and it does a lot for my recovery as well. I can't express enough gratitude for the things that you guys have taught me in just 3 days. And I'm in awe of the personal sacrifices that each and every one of you make being here to get better for your families and for yourselves. I'm very proud to trudge the road of happy destiny with each and every one of you. So, what am I actually here to do? This is my first time sharing my story with anyone. But as we read and how it works, our stories disclose in a general way what we were like, or what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. Like I said, this is my first time. Maybe it'll get better with future reiterations, but since I'm the first person speaking here since COVID started, we'll just all learn together. But if I had to just sum up my story for y'all, it would have to be that if the bottom is where you stop digging, I was digging for perfection. That's what I spent my life doing. Now, perfection itself, there's a really awesome book that I brought with me. Someone once told me that if you ever wanted to look like you know what you're talking about, just walk in and bring books with you. People automatically just think that you know what you're talking about. But this book is on my reread list pretty much every year on my TBR, and it's called The Spirituality of Imperfection, and in it they talk about where the word perfection comes from. It's from the Greek teleos, which more accurately translated just means fully complete. So I know we as alcoholics, as addicts, myself, whenever I think of perfection, it's all or nothing. Everything's always been all or nothing with me. But perfection's really just being fully complete. And I feel like that's what we do on this journey here. So, what did I used to be like? And hopefully, I won't bore you guys with a bunch of war stories here, because I feel my qualifications are right up there with the very best. But growing up, I grew up in the poorest city in the state of Tennessee, which is saying something. And just like a lot of people in Southern Appalachia, my family was, actually in the category below poor. We looked up to poor people. We thought they had a whole lot. Basically, if anyone's read the 2023 Pulitzer Prize winner for fiction, Demon Copperhead, fantastic book. Basically, my life minus minus being an orphan. Fantastic book. Recommend that as well. Didn't bring that one with me because it's too heavy. I'm a little lazy. I grew up with a twin sister who is exactly 1 minute older than me, and that 1 minute has haunted me for my entire life. And I grew up with a brother who's 10 years older than me. Now, education wasn't ever like a big deal in my family. No, I never came home and people, my parents never said, "Hey, how are your grades?" or anything like that. My dad had a sixth grade education, worked, did logging and things like that, helped his family out growing up. When I was growing up, I grew up in pretty constant fear of my father, um, and you really walked on eggshells around him all the time. Felt like I had to, just for fear of another drunken outburst or something like that. And, I mean, I don't blame him now. He was sick, just like I'm sick. So that's not casting any aspersion on him. It's just simply telling you my story. Some of my earliest memories, actually waking up as a kid, getting ready for school, was the sound of a Bud Heavy can cracking open at 6 a.m. Time for school, time to wake up. Things got a lot tougher growing up. When I turned 12 years old, my brother died in a car wreck, and I can look back on it now and kind of see, kind of Monday morning quarterback the entire situation with a little bit of years. My parents didn't have any coping mechanisms, and so pills and alcohol really kind of filled that void for them. Um, and so it really felt like my sister and I kind of had to learn things for ourselves and just figure things out on our own. It was pretty rocky after my brother passed away, for everyone. Um, it actually wasn't until that next year, the year after he died in a car wreck, that I was told that my brother and I had different fathers, um, which is weird for a 13-year-old to hear. But it just really made me more angry about how my dad treated my brother, because it kind of saw where he was treated differently than I was in the home. In high school, my dad moved out, so my house became the party spot. Um, that's where everyone went. As long as we had the money, we could get whatever we wanted. Um, and so I became a lot more interested at that time in women and sports than I did in school, um, which isn't too weird for a high schooler, minus the partying. Um, and so at 14, I began working all the time. Um, Spent my summers 12 to 14 hours a day, literally just weed eating, just solid in the Tennessee heat. Um, from the time I was 14 to 20, actually. Um, but the cool part was is that I was a 14-year-old kid that had money. That was, my parents didn't have any money; they didn't work, but I was working and had money. It was a weird dynamic. So while it was a great thing that I had money myself and my own money, it was also a bit of a bad thing because that meant I could buy all the party favors for everyone on the weekends. Um, College and law school were just a blur for me, just in terms of um, just constant work, constant study. Um, but I was the guy that every weekend was just the weirdo that just always blacked out. And it was weird. I had a friend one time ask me, like, I don't even believe blackouts are a thing, and I said, well, then why do you drink? Like, why would you do this? Like, this is normal, right? But as long as my grades didn't suffer, I thought it was fine. It was normal. This is what you do in college, and whenever you're in law school before you get out into the real world, um, and have a grown up adult job and a mortgage. Um, I also fell in love with academics whenever I went to undergrad and law school. But one thing my deep dark secret that I never told anyone. That was uh, my big secret in college and even in law school. Couldn't tell my best friends about it because I was so ashamed. Was um, that I had a sweet escape plan, and that was painkillers and benzos. That was how I could suffer through, how many ever hours of work and school a week. Um, and also, pretty big reason or a pretty big contributor to blackout drinking. Not the greatest thing to do, not the best idea. So I get out of law school, pass the bar exam, start working at my firm, and I fall in love with work. That becomes my escape. Um, it was a way out of what I thought that I was, which was just this dumb, poor hick from Tennessee, this ignorant kid who was never going to be anything. Just being a real victim of my own circumstances, um, carrying shame with me everywhere that I went. But I could be somebody as long as I worked 100 hours a week. If I was at the office later than any attorney, then they're lazy, and I'm going to kick their ass. Um, and it's an opportunity I can't miss. I can't be like my parents. I don't want to be like them. So I kept digging, looking for that perfect life, um, and still thinking one day that I'm going to get it. Be normal like everyone else, whatever that means. And then the pace of all that, without dealing with any actual problems or issues, um, I realized it just wasn't sustainable without some help. So I turned back to some old friends, um, which I'll refer to as the unholy triumvirate of alcohol, painkillers, and benzos. Rather than actually trying to deal with my problems, it was just so much easier to stuff it down, avoid it. It's what I've done my entire life. Like, why change it now? Like, it's been working. It's clearly working up until this point. Um, it works until it doesn't. Um, like I said a little bit earlier, my mother and sister would do anything for me. My twin sister. So they actually um, became the sources for my prescriptions. Um, because I thought myself way too special, much too dignified to buy from, just a regular drug dealer. Yeah, at that point in time, but got to keep digging. Um, so, what happened? We'll go to that part now. Um, I met the love of my life. I got engaged, and I lived happily ever after. Not really. Uh, I did meet the love of my life. That is true. And I did get engaged. But my drinking and using had clearly become a problem for her. Hadn't become a problem for me yet. And she didn't even know about my drug use. Um, we had been together probably 3, 4 years by the time we got engaged, and I was able to. I mean, I hid this from everyone. And this was something I'm going to my grave with. No one's ever going to catch me, ever. Um, so we got engaged in 2019. Going to get married in 2020, and then the world shut down 2 months before our wedding. So that didn't happen. But I was able to save face with friends and family because we weren't going to get married anyway. With my drinking and my using and my lying, it wasn't going to happen. But I could save face because of COVID. so I could remain dignified. I could still be that person, this construct that I've built over so many years. So later that year, my grandmother, who I'd been taking care of for the last 5 years, passed away. It was really sad. Um, she was old, had Alzheimer's and dementia, really bad. So, um, it was very sad, but it was also one of those things that was almost better with the state that she was in. Um, and then the very next day, my fiance, um, at 32 years old, was diagnosed with breast cancer. Um, and things changed a lot, for me, for us. Um, but at that time, though, the only thing I could think about was, um, okay, this is awful. This is a real good excuse to go on a bender. Everything like no holds barred. Let's do this. What's it all matter anyways? Um, so after coming down from that craziness, not really coming down from it, but going through that and a 2-day assessment at a treatment facility in Tennessee, they told me I needed to stay there for 90 days. And I told them that I can do this shit myself. Don't worry about it. I've got this. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to AA and I'm gonna read because I can think my way out of anything that's gonna work. I can do this. Um, I was determined. Uh, then after 10 months of just white knuckling it, and really going through the motions, working the steps, I was just like, the sooner I can get through this, the sooner I can work the steps. Like, that's got to be what it is. They tell me that's what this program's all about. You just work these steps, you graduate. It's just like school. It's just like college, just like law school. Like, if I can be, really good at sobriety and know some stuff about it, then I'm bulletproof, baby. Um, and so, after 10 months, I decided I have graduated. I have done all 12 steps, except for actually really doing an eighth and ninth step. But, we can skip over that. It's fine because you don't have to do them in order. It was my thinking, my uh, sick thinking. Um, and so I graduated myself. Gonna I'm officially sober. Just like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy, like just screaming it, shouting it to the world, and it will be. Um, so at that point, I had made it to 10 months. Pretty psyched about that. Like, this is going great. Um, Made it through my fiance's chemotherapy. Made it through a double mastectomy. And then 2 weeks later, another surgery to remove some more lymph nodes. And I'm in the clear. I'm thinking I've done it. Done it all. Until there was a point where I'm at home alone with her prescriptions, and before I could even think about going to an AA meeting or calling my sponsor, it was just hand to mouth, just an automatic reaction. And I mean, before I even thought about it, I'd taken all of them. I mean, this relapse had really been cooking for those 10 months. I was never sober in that time period. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't using actively, but I was not sober. Um, I didn't know that at the time. I thought as long as you didn't drink or use, like I mean, that should be good enough. Um, So whenever the moment came, I didn't have a toolkit, nothing at all, just no defense. Like pretty much any book about recovery you're going to read, we have no defense against that first drink. I tried getting back into the rooms at that time, but just lost a piece of my soul every damn time I picked up a white chip, knowing that I was going back out. I mean, it was just eating away at me, and I wanted to be sober. I mean, it just it was the damnedest thing. I couldn't figure it out. I can't think my way out of it, and that's what's got me through life to this point. Like, if I can think all the way through it, it's fine. But thinking will kill you in this program. Anne Lamott actually has a really good. That's where I got the. I have a thinking problem. She's fantastic. Written a lot of really good books. And that's whenever she writes the foreword to Richard Rohr's book, Breathing Underwater. She mentions that. It just makes so much sense to me. So finally, at that point, my fiance said, "The hell with this. I can't keep doing this. Like, you're not doing anything different." Uh, I thought treatment. I mean, it was never going to happen. Like, that's for people who do heroin. Like, what are you talking about? I don't need that. Because I know better. So she left me, and it absolutely destroyed me. It was the first real consequence I ever had from drinking and using. I mean, my substance abuse, all this time, it was, um, I guess, quote unquote, I was able to get away with it. And so at that point, I was spinning uh, pretty hard off of a string of relapses at that point. And I went back out in full force. And whenever I say that, I mean, it was like I had never stopped. I mean, I picked up right where I left off. And I mean, it just progressed like a wildfire. I mean, just everything unraveled for the next 6 months. Uh, and within 6 months, I was just a shell of myself. I mean, I was lying to everybody. Hell, lying to my office. Hell, I can't come to work today. I'm sick. I might have COVID. Don't worry about it. I'll work from home. Um, and just lying to everyone, lying to myself a hell of a lot. Because in my mind, it was like, okay, well, I did 10 months before. At some point, I'll be able to pick this back up. I'll be able to get it next week. Next week, I'll do it, and it'll be fine. And then it unraveled to a point where the physical dependency really kicked in, and I went through a time where I would run through everything, and then it was withdrawals until I could make it. You know, until at one point it just became so bad, the dependency, that it was impossible for me to lie down, impossible to stand up, sleep, or be awake at the same time, and it was miserable. I, uh, you know, for me, the biggest thing that I remember about that torture and that hell was that it felt like my eyeballs were sweating. I mean, that's literally just it was the worst feeling ever. Pretty sure I was gonna die, and could not find those beloved benzos, and so I decided, not being a chemist or knowing anything about neurobiology whatsoever, that hey, any drugs will fill this void. Um, so um, it definitely didn't. It was hell. And then after about a week, I really came close to committing suicide. It was just I just wanted it to stop, whatever it would take. I didn't care. I didn't have time for any kind of hospital. Like, to hell with this. I'm just done. I don't have anyone. So I just wanted peace at any cost. Um, so I wake up in an ambulance, um, headed to the ER apparently for severe benzo withdrawals, which I didn't know at the time can actually be deadly. I just thought I'd finally overdosed on painkillers. I don't know, or heart attack or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty sure that was it for me. And so I'm lying in this hospital bed, just staring up at the ceiling, like, wow, this is it. This is really what it's all boiled down to. And my ex fiance walks into the hospital room, and I just lose it. I mean, just crying, just, and it just, I mean, it was just one of those moments that I'll always look back to, where, I mean, it was time to finally tell the truth about what was going on. I mean, even tell the truth to the damn doctors about what was going on. Like, okay, this is it. This is what's happening. Um, Tell her the truth, fine. And I mean, hell, tell myself the truth. I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic, and it's less scary whenever I say it out loud for some reason. But I had a problem doing it. And so 5 days later, I come here to Pavillon. My professionals program had a list of 13 places. I'm um, getting online, looking places up, thinking I need to get somewhere as quick as humanly possible before I change my mind. Because it was always. I mean, this was the worst thing that ever happened. But in terms of just that obsessive thinking that it's going to be different the next time. The Einstein quote about insanity. It's always going to be different. It'll work this time. I can feel this way forever. Um, I'll be normal. So asked, called Pavillon, asked them how long they would let me stay. They said 12 weeks. I said, good deal. Probably need to just sign up for that. And so I came in here just broken, just at the very bottom of this hole that I just can't stop digging, thinking, you know, I mean, this is the lowest. I mean, I can't. There's nothing worse than being at bottom and really knowing it's bottom, other than, hey, I could have died, but I was spared for some reason. And the worst part was actually, for me, whenever I first got here, was actually having to fill things, because I spent a lot of money and time not filling things. It, I had it down to an art to be able to numb those things, um, and it hurt a lot. Everything. Um, when they told me I was going to have to stay in detox for a day, I mean, the nursing staff was just like, "What did we do?" Because I was just sobbing, and then someone brought me some meatloaf from Chef Brian. I was like, "This is going to be all right. I think I'll be able to make this." Uh, and so it was definitely the scariest thing I've ever done coming here, because I had no clue what to expect. I had spent a lot of time trying to not come to treatment. A lot of justification, um, those old stories. But the only thing this place ever did for me was save my life. It was, I learned here that using was something I did, and it's not who I am. I learned that the real work was actually trying to figure out who the hell I am. What did I value truly, not this construct that I've made. And they call it rigorous honesty, and I had to get brutally honest with myself about things that I had done, whether it was to my employers, or whether it was to my fiance, or whether it was but mainly it was myself. I had to get honest. Um, I learned for the first time here that my crippling anxiety could be made easier or manageable through exposure. That was just a wild concept for me. Um, it was actually the first day that I was here. Dr. Kagan gave the lecture. And I didn't really remember the lecture because I had just gotten out of detox, but my nervous tick was to take really good notes, and so that people wouldn't know that I actually wanted to die on the inside. And so I went back whenever I went up to EC and read the notes and was like, "Whoa, that was a great lecture. That was amazing." Um, and so um, I also learned that avoiding people and isolation is the worst thing I can do. And COVID really put us in that bubble, and it felt great at first. It was like, I don't have to actually talk to people. This is great. And then it became normal, unfortunately. But I learned here that I need people. I mean, I need you guys. I need the fellowship of AA. And if it makes me a little uncomfortable, or it might be inconvenient to go to a meeting at 7:30 on a Tuesday night, good. I need it. I also learned here that I'm not unique. Um, I heard my story through people's mouths every single day here, and not to compare to anyone, but the identification is crucial, because I was alone in the world before I got here. There's no way anyone knows what I feel like. There's just no way anyone could understand that. And then I come here, and it seems like everyone understands that. Um, I also learned that I didn't have to carry shame around with me anymore. And for anyone struggling with it, there's actually a really awesome pamphlet. It's only like 32 pages down in the bookstore here, called Shame Faced, and it was like being seen for the first time. I mean, it was I highly recommend it to anyone. I also very importantly learned that addiction isn't a moral failure on my part. I'm not a bad person, but it's a product of a disease of mind, a mental obsession that's been around for a long time, actually. Um, I also learned that I love people and that I want to be helpful to my fellow humans. I also, strangely enough, made some lifelong friends here at Pavilion. I mean, literally people I talk to on a daily basis, that I would have never met anywhere else. I mean, they're closer than any friends I have from high school or anywhere else. So, um, I also learned that beach volleyball is awesome. I also learned that Eurovision is the single greatest piece of television ever created. Um, also, I don't know. I just really learned how to be comfortable with myself here. Um, and after 12 weeks, I was really damn nervous about going back home. Like, what's that going to look like? If, like, am I engaged again? Like, what happens? Like, how do I do that? Do I repropose? Um, you know, what about my dog? Can't wait to see that guy. So just a lot of feelings and just being super nervous. Because I don't know how it's going to go. Like here, it was just so safe and so protected. Whenever I get back out into the world, it's real life again. Am I going to be able to manage? But one thing that I made sure to do was I actually followed the recommendations that I was given. I met with my professionals program and the staff here at Pavillon, and we worked out hours restrictions to kind of ease back into life, and really stuck to those. Created some boundaries with my family that have been helpful and much healthier. Um, and I actually had that toolkit and a support system. So what really happened was just this place. I That's actually why I'm back here this weekend. I mean, I just don't really know what I could do to ever give back to what was given to me here. So what am I like now? I am 444 days sober since leaving Pavillon. Strangely enough, I left here. So Wednesday will be 1 year ago that I left here. So it's really strange. I'll be leaving tomorrow, thinking I was doing this a year ago. Um, I love the 5 meetings that I attend weekly, and I absolutely hate missing a single one of them. Never thought I'd be that guy that needed meetings all the time. Just one of those low down sorry people that just can't hack it without meetings. That's me. Proud of it. But it's not. I don't go to 5 meetings because I said, "Oh shit, someone told me this would keep me sober." Like it's not an arbitrary rule that I set up. It's just through experience. That's what I need. I mean, I have to be at those meetings. I need those people. I need what they're going to say. Um, I need these rooms. I need to work with my sponsor. Me and my sponsor couldn't be any more different from each other. I mean, it's just not possible. Love the guy to death. We're different. I mean, in any measurable way, whether it's politics, spirituality, whatever it is. But I mean, I need that. It's uh, it's a very special relationship. Um, I also have better boundaries um, with work, which is a constant struggle. Um, but um, I just saw so much grace through AA and through treatment, and I owe it all to AA. I have healthier relationships, which was a big thing whenever I came in here. I had torn all of those to shreds. Um, the trust of others um, that I spent a lot of time tearing back is I can actually see it being pieced back together. And I'm much more my true self, a person that cares about honesty, about integrity, um, the real things that I care about. So if you didn't take anything from anything that I've said here tonight, just please, I just want you to remember one thing, that it does get better. It really, really does. Sitting here a year ago, or 443 days ago, whatever it was. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen whenever I got out of here, to be honest. Whether it was with work, finances, fiance, you name it, it was all going to be a leap of faith. Um, but it's getting better. It gets better. Um, Also, something that I do now, I am a practicing Stoic, which is a philosophy I think really fits perfectly with AA and the 12 steps in this program. And today I'm actually at peace, not controlling everything or trying to control everything. Um, I'm really okay with not being okay. and that's okay. I finally stopped digging and came to appreciate my imperfections and those of others, because it's what makes us human. And some of my heroes in recovery are people like Glennon Doyle, people like Richard Rohr, um, and like I said, Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius meditations has been a huge help in my journey so far. So I'd like to leave some time for questions, but I just want to close with a quick story, because I think that's how I learn things better. Just keep things with me. And you may have heard it, but there's a story of a man who's down in a hole. If it sounds familiar, a priest walks by the hole and the man cries for help. Preacher, preacher, help me! I need to get out of this hole. The priest writes a prayer, throws it down in the hole. The man's still stuck there until a doctor walks by the hole, and the man cries out for help again. Doctor, please help me! I gotta get out of this hole. I'm gonna die. The doctor takes out a prescription pad, writes a prescription to the man, tosses it down in the hole. The man's still stuck. And then a friend walks by, and the man says, "Hey man, can you please just help me get out of this hole?" And the friend jumps down into the hole, and the man's like, "What in the hell is wrong with you? Now we're both stuck down here and gonna die." And the friend looks at the man and he says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before and I know the way out." And that's what this program is to me. Thank you.